Hi, this is Derek with MostInterestingLife.com, and today I'm going to be talking about how do you stay interesting during lockdowns. Now, it's been a while since I've been making videos. I apologize. A lot of people have been asking, and especially during these lockdown times when people are stuck inside, a lot of people have said that this is the best time that I should be making videos and sharing the ways that I've been staying interesting during all this time. And yes, even though these situations are not ideal, there are a lot of things that you can do. And I don't want to make this a political video going on either side of this issue, or I know that there's a lot of different opinions, so I'll be talking about ways that you can be interesting if you're the most careful type that likes to social distance, wear masks and all that, or also if you're the type that prefers just freedom, you think the whole thing is nonsense. I'm going to be appealing to both sides with slight variations of how you can use some of these strategies. Some of these will be for you, some of these things will not be for you. So I'll start with some obvious things. This is a great time to read books, to learn new skills, to learn new types of business, history. There's books on pretty much anything. So this is a great time during these lockdowns, obviously, to read. And I like to read a lot, and one thing that I often do is I go to my local libraries to get books because I don't like to clutter up too many books where I live. Because if I owned every book that I wanted to read, I would just have too much clutter. And one thing that I believe in is trying to not own too many things if you could help it. And also, it saves money to go to a library. And where I live in New York, the library systems, all the libraries, they loan books to each other. So if your closest library doesn't have the book you want, you could actually have them send from another library to your library a book that you might be looking for. So this is a great way to read more books and to stay interesting, learn new skills. So hopefully when all this is done, hopefully, knock on wood, you'll be able to use these skills and knowledge to just live a better life. Another thing that I often talk about is languages. What better time to learn languages than during these lockdowns when you're unable to do other things? So I often talk about the Duolingo app. I like the Pimsleur programs, Michael Thomas programs. Again, a lot these can be available at your local library. I know I used to always go and get CD programs, even though it can be hard to find a CD player. You can get these programs, you could copy them onto a hard drive even, and then you can listen to these programs. You could change it to MP3 format, put them on your phone, play them in your car, and this is a great way to learn more languages. And things I like about programs like the Duolingo is that if you're waiting in line at a store, you could do a quick 2 or 3 minute lesson. Or if you're at a doctor's office waiting for your car to get serviced, whatever, it's great ways to learn a little bit at a time. And when you're learning something new, it's good often to spread out your studying over time. It's better to do, let's say, 10 minutes a day than just 1 hour at a time, because that's how the brain learns new things. So languages are another great thing to do. Another thing that I've been doing is I've been working on playing chess. I'm no chess master or anything, but the chess.com app is a great way to play against people all around the world. Their free app has daily puzzles that you could do, and these are things that you could do in less than a minute at a time. So again, while you're just waiting for a coffee to brew, waiting for a tea to be made, waiting for anything, it's a great way to work on these things on a daily basis, especially during lockdowns. I mean, if you can't learn a new skill, new language, play chess, do any of these things during lockdown, when you're limited to how you can spend your time, when else can you? So this is a great excuse to do it. And again, with a thing like chess.com, with a Duolingo app, or many other free apps that are out there, you can do it a little bit at a time. You could say, all right, I'm just going to spend 2 minutes on this. And what you find also when you're looking to do a task, if you start for 2 minutes, you could easily do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, etc. Another great thing is this is the best chance to start an online business for 2 reasons. One, you have a lot of extra time. A lot of people have a lot of extra time. And 2, there's a lot more people online now than ever doing business, shopping, etc. So this is a great time to learn how to make websites, WordPress, other types. There are many tools out there. This is a great time to make videos like I'm doing now, to learn basic editing. Like you'll see my basic editing in these videos. It's email marketing, all these different skills. What better time than now during lockdowns? If you're not going to do these things now, when are you going to do it? And what is more interesting than having online income if you make it your main business, having the freedom that comes with that to be able to travel and work around the world? So now or never. There's plenty of other videos on YouTube and all over the internet showing you how to make websites, how to put everything together, how to get a domain name. This is a great time to do that and be interesting in that way. So when, again, hopefully all these things are over, you could have more money available. You could just have more skills to do these things. This is another great time to work on your online presence. These days, more and more for business and personal reasons, a lot of how we're represented to the world is online. So you could learn photography, you could learn how to take good pictures, how to have friends take good pictures of you, tell them how to set it up, work on your Instagram, Facebook, whatever other types of social media, dating apps. You could become more aware about your online presence, because most people take crap pictures. They don't know how to do it. This is another skill that you can learn, and this would probably be another really good video for me to do, but know that this is a skill. This is something you should focus on, especially now when people are socializing less in person. Your online presence is more important than ever. So now, one of the worst things about this whole lockdown situation, this whole pandemic situation, is that you can't travel. And travel has always been one of the most interesting things that I think, and most people agree, that is the most interesting things that you could do, is traveling around different cultures, eating the food, interacting with people, seeing the sights. I like to do the nightlife often, but many places are either not letting people in or they shut down a lot of their major tourist attractions. So there are a few basic things that are available. Florida doesn't have a lot of the restrictions. Mexico is another place that's still, most of the main touristy places are open. But I've been to Mexico 3 times. I've been to Punta Cana, Cancun, and Oaxaca on the Pacific side. And it is a great place. If you haven't been there, Mexico is an amazing place to go see. They have underground rivers, sinkholes. They have Chichen Itza, that pyramid. There's still other things I would like to see. I've never been to Tulum. That's become a really popular place. Mexico City has also, I'd like to do that for the Day of the Dead festival, but I digress. And also I've heard Turkey is another place that's been fairly open for traveling. But for the most part, most places are not very open for that. So that's definitely a big downside. But the other big downside is the lack of social interaction. The lack of ability to be able to go to big parties and festivals. A lot of people know I like things like the big St. Patrick's Day parades. I like big Halloween parties, New Year parties. I typically enjoy nightlife. I like going out to bars, clubs, being able to walk around, get drinks, socialize, do some dancing. These are things that I normally like. But how do you do this during lockdowns? Humans are wired, their brains are wired for social interaction. And not having social interaction has actually led to a huge increase in depression, has led to increases in suicides. All sorts of terrible things have been going on. I remember hearing online that things like St. John's wort, which is a supplement, a natural supplement to help people with depression or to help people give energy, that it's been selling out. So it's obviously been having a very negative effect on people. So how do you combat this? How are you able to still have a healthy social life, even with all these lockdown measures in place where you're not allowed to do a lot of things that you would normally do? So one thing that I've been enjoying, especially during the previous year, were going to parks. Even during the worst parts of the lockdown, when all restaurants were shut down and all bars and everything near me, they've been slowly opening up near me, but still everyone has to sit down, and you can't really socialize as much with other people. But you could still go to parks. So right now I live in the Northeast New York of the United States, where it's very cold. This is not so much of an option, but it's warming up. Springtime, summertime, fall. you could go to park, you can meet friends, you could go on dates in a park, you could walk around, it's fresh air. If you're a very nervous type, you could wear a mask, you could keep a relative distance with you and your friends, or you could just walk around normal. In most places, at least that I go to, a mask is not required in a park. You could maybe bring a bottle of wine, you could bring some snacks, you could have some nice social interaction in a nice open air environment. And when the weather is nice, why not? It's great. You're enjoying nature, you're enjoying social interaction. Um, and this is very weather dependent. And also, it's where I am at during the worst of it. It would get dark around 5 p.m. We're finally seeing it getting dark later. Daylight savings time is in less than a week from now. So this is, at the time of this video, this is going to become a great way to socialize with people, is going to parks. And during these lockdowns, I've never gone to so many local parks as during these lockdowns, which was actually sort of a positive side to this whole lockdown thing. Is I've been getting more in touch with nature. I've been finding lakes and trails and different places with little benches, and these parks have little statues. It's been a nice change of pace in a way. Another thing that you could do is, obviously, you have little house parties. For New Year's Eve, I had about 10 people over my place, and people, you could design this however you want. You could make the guests wear masks if you want. You could take whatever measures you like to do, or you could just be all wild and just say, hey, my place, no rules, and do it how you want. So this gives a lot of freedom, though, in how you could have social interactions on your terms. Now, I've never had more than 4 to 8 to 10 people at my place for anything like this at a time, but it's an option. Sometimes it's the only option, depending where you live. Now, connected to the house parties, probably one of the biggest things that I've done during these lockdowns to keep social was one of my good friends for a very long time, started having fire pit parties. And this was a surprise to me. It was actually a really nice change of pace, because even though I've always enjoyed nightlife and lounges, bars, clubs, I was sort of getting bored with a lot of them in a way. Especially in New York, where I live, the overall nightlife scene has been on a decline for a couple of years. There's been less and less clubs. It's more, if anything, there's little restaurants become mini clubs at night. And I was enjoying it less and less. So even before the whole lockdowns, I was going to less of these nightlife venues. So it was a great change of pace. My friend has been having these fire pit parties in his backyard, where he has a little fire pit. You could buy one of these things on Amazon. I think they start at $100. Some of the nicer ones go up to $200, $300, $400. He burns wood in them, and basically you sit around. You put chairs around the fire. You could play music. You could make snacks. You could have your own drinks. You make your own rules with it. Now, we never really had any bigger than 10 to 12 people at the largest. I'd say an average size fire pit party has been around 4 or 5 people. But still, when everything else is shut down, these are the best clubs in town. These are the most, you drink, you could eat, you could dance around. We would have all these traditions where we play different songs at different times. We would take walks to a local park. That was the little adventures and traditions we would have. There was a bar that was open nearby that was a little bit more lax with the rules, where you could dance. They would still have you wear a mask, but you could dance around a little bit. It was great. So with the social interaction, if you could swing this, if you could have one of these things at either your place, or you have a friend with a backyard, you can make one of these fire pits. You can either buy one online. There are ways you can make them online. I know that there's different rules and laws with different fires, so check to see what your jurisdiction is. But if you could swing it, this is still, I think, one of the best options. And I'm looking forward to, when the temperature gets warmer, to be able to have more of these. I found that when the temperature starts to go below the 40s Fahrenheit, which is probably single digit Celsius, it's hard to have a fire without the cold being a big distraction. Now, if you're drinking, if you're maybe smoking cigars, stuff like that, that helps warm you up a little bit. But also, depending on if it's windy or not, that affects it. But I'm looking forward to the temperature going back up to the 40s, because around me in New York, the temperature's been at night in the 20s, 30s, or even lower. But now that it's starting to go more towards the 40s at night, I'm going to be looking to do a lot more of this. So it's important to have some sort of social interaction. And there are responsible ways if especially if you're one of these people that are at the most risk of the COVID-19 virus, and it is a real danger for you. There are ways you could do this where you don't have to be too close to people. You can wear a mask. You're outside. There's fresh air. So anyone from the most careful to the most wild and free, this is probably one of the best options. So those are most of the big things I want to talk about for this video. It's not ideal, but 2020 is actually, I've managed to enjoy it in a lot of ways. I've learned to acquire new skills. I've actually kept it into a very social year, very different forms. Again, not huge groups of people bunched up in clubs and such and stuff like that, but meeting up at parks, the fire pits, house parties, stuff like that has been a great option, and it gives you the flexibility to really do it on your terms in the way that you want. So there's still lockdowns going on with this at the time of this video, but you could still find ways to be interesting. You could still have a very well-rounded life. You could still come out of this a better, stronger person. I didn't talk about exercise and stuff like that. I've actually been doing some online martial arts courses, which I was very skeptical. It didn't sound like it would be very effective at first, but I found it to actually be pretty effective, much better than doing nothing. So I've also been working out more at home. I mean, right now when I'm doing this video, I'm just about to walk into the gym, as I often make my videos in my car before I go to the gym. But there's no excuse not to do push-ups, body weight squats. You could get a pull-up bar. I got, actually before this whole lockdown, I'd gotten a door frame pull-up bar that it doesn't screw into anything. It actually hooks and leverages into the frame of a door. I put one on one of my closet doors, and you could bang out some pull-ups, which are another great exercise. So there's no excuse to not be in shape, not to keep your mind sharp, not to start businesses or learn skills, not to be able to be social. There are options there. It's just, are you willing to be creative? Are you willing to put in the effort to do things differently than you always have? So again, hopefully I make more videos, get this going, because people keep on asking me why I haven't. Hopefully I make some more. And until then, stay interesting, even during these lockdowns.